and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to learn a little bit about astronomy and some of the volunteers who are willing to help teach us even more than we're going to learn during this hour. My guests are George Curran and Jason Tackett. Welcome.
Oh, hello.
Thank you.
Now, I bumped into you at a budget forum, and somehow quickly the discussion moved toward astronomy. And you guys, as volunteers, run the planetarium at Jones Middle School. And George, I'm going to start with you because I know you've been there since essentially the beginning. How did that, first of all, you know, Jones even having a planetarium is fairly unusual for a school. But how did you guys get involved?
Actually, a lot of middle schools have planetariums that were built in the 1960s and the 70s because there was a lot of NASA money and Department of Defense money that was made available at that time
to
as
the
part
school
of
systems to help educate people, to help promote. You know, I mean, you need to train people for
exactly.
NASA.
I mean, it was essentially the precursor to what is called STEM now, and so they were built into schools. Jones was built in was opened in 1976, and it had a planetarium. It was run as part of the school system with a director up until 1991. Then it was transitioned to contract work done by the Virginia Living Museum. In 2000, in the school year 2001-2, they cut out that in the budget, and that's the year that Lawrence Taylor, who is really our leader, and he won't take any credit for it, who is a NASA employee. His daughter started school there, and he walked into the science class and said, "I want to help volunteer in the planetarium." And
it's gorgeous, and it's an amazing facility.
And they said, "Oh, sorry, it's closed," and it literally had become a storage facility. So he called me because my wife had some interactions with the school system. So we started and got involved with the school system and asked them if we could use the facility. And so once a month, on the second Wednesday each month, starting at 7 p.m., we present a presentation that is a topic related to astronomy that is about 20 minutes long. We typically have a raffle for students that is free, that is generally supported with a ticket for the Virginia Air and Space Museum. And then we have a look at the night sky in the dark planetarium. So and it typically is about an hour. It's longer if there's more questions. It's shorter if there's less interest. And we've been doing it since October 2002.
What's really impressive about that is that the attendance at the Jones Planetarium events is actually really good. I think there's a 60-seat capacity there, and it's not rare to have it full. And
in fact, you do encourage people to call ahead and make a reservation, right? No, is it just first come, first serve?
First come, first serve.
Yeah. And we for a while, we were allowing people to wait, and if we had an overflow, we said, we'll do another presentation. And we finally realized that we're volunteers, and it's like, if you want to be here, come and get here 15 minutes early and you'll get a seat. If you get here 10 minutes late, you're not.
Right.
So it works out. And
that is, you know, it's amazing to have an all-volunteer program that runs successfully for 10 years, or a little bit more than 10 years now. How is it that you've managed to keep your volunteers going? We could all learn something from that, I think.
Really, it's just the passion for the hobby. Everybody really enjoys astronomy and really enjoys education, you know, especially working with younger people. I think it's really satisfying, you know, to encourage an interest in astronomy in children. I think that's what, you know, fuels a lot of our fire.
Well, astronomy is an unusual subject compared to a lot of things. Like somebody that's 75 years old can appreciate an astronomy topic on the same level as an 8-year-old. The first time that somebody looks through a telescope and looks at Saturn and they go, wow, it really does have rings. I mean, the response is almost always the same. It is gee whiz. And I don't have a telescope. Jason has a telescope, but I participate at star parties, and that is the response. And typically the topics, if you talk about Mars, if you talk about Jupiter, young people can understand certain parts of it, and older people can understand more. And it's not like talking about thermal physics or something.
Right. It wouldn't get lost so quickly, you're saying.
Not at all. The language is available. So young people can appreciate it and older people. So I think that's the thing that really is a glue for a lot of people. And the children generally are pretty excited. The large percentage of the students tend to be middle school students.
Well, that's when they're studying, right? When they're
Right.
studying geography, physics, and all those kinds of earth science or star science. You know, it fits in probably with the topic. Did teachers give extra credit or encourage the students to come sometimes? I mean, I know my son did.
We suggest that because we have a really good relationship with the Hampton City Schools. We have the gentleman who was the recent science curriculum coordinator. I call him Mac, Mr. McDonald, and I can't remember his first name at the moment, but he just retired. But he was our conduit of information. But we generate and actually now Jason generates an email invitation each month that goes into the school system, and that is sent to all the staff and to the teachers. And in there it says, please encourage your students to come, and if you give them some extra credit, maybe that'll help too. So we do encourage that, and the teachers get a staff development credit when they come. So that's a good thing. It's a kind of a bonus to them that the school system has made available. And we've had, as Jason said, we've had some months where there'll be more than 60 people. Sometimes we have, if it's a cold, snowy day, we'll have 8 or 10 people show up.
Right.
But the volunteers are there every month. And we've had a whole variety of volunteers over the years. Obviously, with the large military presence, we have a transient population. There have been a number of Air Force personnel and Army personnel that have been volunteers with us.
Now, see, I think NASA at first, and both of you have NASA connections, and of course, Mr. Taylor does. But you have volunteers really from, I guess, if you have that NASA background, it's a little bit maybe more in your work history, but it's also a hobby that a lot of people are interested in. You said there was a pilot.
Oh, there's a number of airline pilots that are volunteers with us. There's a number of retired military people.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And we've had just a whole variety of people. We have very strong support also with. We've developed a very good relationship recently with Hampton University. And we have a couple of professors from there that have participated with us. We've had presentations done by a professor from ODU. We had the head of a woman who was running the Science Institute for the Hubble Space Telescope, came down from Baltimore and presented. We've had a whole variety of presentations, and we can't tell you what May 14th topic is yet, but we will have a topic on the second Wednesday in May, and it'll be something that'll be 20 to 25 minutes long. And we ask our speakers to talk to middle school students. Our theory is that sometimes the elementary students will catch some of it, and then occasionally a few of the adults will even understand it.
We've actually got
I'm not sure I could handle middle school science, but I could try.
We've got a pretty broad, like you're saying, a broad variety of speakers there. And what's really neat is we've had some high school students come and give presentations there, and that's really cool because they bring their friends. So suddenly you have fresh faces and a lot of high school students. So anywhere from high school students.
We had an 8-year-old give a presentation one time.
Really?
Even to PhDs at the Hampton University. There's great people volunteering.
And it's a completely open. Anybody that wants to speak is welcome to speak. You just have to generate a presentation that's 20 minutes long that talks to middle school students on the subject of your choice that's related to astronomy
Or aerospace.
and we've had
in our community.
We've also had people talk about the climate and the weather and things like that, which is clearly related.
Right.
And it is any topic that you're interested enough in, willing to generate a topic. I've talked about a number of NASA programs. Jason's done a talk, you were going to do a talk. You have done a talk. And Lawrence has done a number of talks. And the topics are, actually we've kept a list of the topics also. And it's interesting to scan back through those over the years because there's a huge variety. We had the professor talk about the black hole in the center of the Milky Way. And how do you talk about a black hole in the center of the Milky Way on a level that is available to the public? And he is an excellent speaker and shared the information, and even I understood it.
That's so cool. And as you say, this ties back to STEM education and keeping kids excited about and involved in science. And And you can't always do that by lecturing.
Oh, not at all.
So this is a completely different experience, kind of an immersion experience.
Really?
And we're hoping with the STEAM Academy that is supposed to go in at Fort Monroe.
Oh yeah, we're all keeping our fingers crossed that
We're trying
happens.
to slowly foster a relationship with that, because I know that Hampton University is expected to be a participant in that. As I said, we've had a really good relationship with the school system for a number of years. Sometimes they kind of forget about us, but
you are under the radar. I mean, I used to get the emails and always put them on the city calendar, and I need to make sure we're still doing that. But I'm like, wow, because I knew it was going on when my son was in middle school, but to run a volunteer organization, which is a club, as you say, but also has no officer structure, nothing official, it's just loosely organized, is kind of amazing. I mean, most all volunteer organizations kind of collapse at some point. When the center core person moves on, you know, things fall apart.
But it really is a communications site that we use, which is a Yahoo site, and if people Google VPAS, which is Virginia Peninsula Astronomy Stargazers, and all they have to do is Google VPAS. The first thing they'll find is our Yahoo website, and that's where all the communication occurs. And it's basically people write emails essentially to it, and then there's sometimes a discussion. And that's where if there's different things that are happening, and I wrote down a few of the things that we do besides just the Jones.
Okay.
On the first and third Fridays, we do stargazing, that are star parties that are available to the public. We had done them at Grunland Park, but since the tornado out there damaged the buildings, we don't have access, but the Parks and Recreation has allowed us to use access at the Gosnold Hope Park.
Oh, that's nice. You can get far enough away. I mean, you can't stargaze in a city in very many places because of the light interference.
Well, these places are pretty good. Gosnold's Hope Park and the Greenland Astronomy Park are pretty well.
Because Gosnold's is an old Nike missile site.
Right.
And out across the cul-de-sac from the BMX track, right next to the water.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And the directions to how to get out there are on the VPAS site. It's real easy to follow. The police come out and visit us. Regularly the police come by and say hello, how are you doing? Because they check up on us to make sure everything's fine.
That gives you that extra sense of security, particularly if, you know, I'm out there bringing a kid.
Right, and we have that, again, the relationship that we have with the police department. We also do on the Saturday closest to the new moon, we have stargazing that's done at York River State Park. It's a little bit of a drive from here, and people have to pay $3 to get in. But we have also a number of volunteers from Richmond, and I believe as far as Midlothian, a number of people come down from there, and that's a much darker site at York River State Park.
Yeah.
And that's really cool too, because a lot of big enthusiasts with big telescopes come out. So this is a chance to see some really cool telescopes come out to this place.
Lots and lots of optics, and some people have a lot of money invested in their hobby. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars.
And that's nice for them to let us all use it for free.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
it's a share.
wonderful
I'd love to share, yeah.
opportunity.
And then the other one that Jason had mentioned, the Virginia Living Museum on the second Saturday, which is nice. They're not locked on calendar days. They're on the monthly calendar. On the second Saturday, they have a star party night, and they ask volunteers to bring telescopes and set them up next to their observatory. Because they have a large telescope at their facility, but there'll be typically 10 or 12 other people that will bring a variety of different size telescopes. And then they have planetarium presentations that they also do there that they charge for people to go to, but any stargazing, all of those activities are all free.
You know, and the free is one thing that makes this so accessible to our students and to our young folks is they get in free. Their parents get in free. I mean, and especially the Jones Planetarium is close and convenient and such a wonderful resource.
Exactly.
And we also do a variety of impromptu things, like there was a lunar eclipse 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. You were out.
Ended up being a little cloudy. I didn't stay up.
Yeah,
I thought about it.
Too cloudy for me, but some people did go out to Gosnold's Hope Park and observed, and everyone was welcome to come out, and they caught some glimpses of the eclipse through the clouds.
I got up and looked out the
wonderful.
window, and it was cloudy, so I gave up. But we also have, at Wallops, they launch a variety of rockets.
Right.
And so we will go down to, a lot of times, go down to Buckrow Beach, and
watch from
we'll
there.
see that. SpaceX launches from Florida to go to the space station, and we've seen those coming by. And so there's a lot of different impromptu things. There was a Venus transit a few years ago that a huge crowd of us went over to Huntington Park and watched. The next one's not for another 105 years, so the odds are you're going to...
We won't see it
No,
again.
it's only 103 years from now, so the odds are you're going to miss it.
Right.
But we did see that one.
Well, that's really cool. And I do think, and I want to thank both of you for your volunteer work, because this is a planetarium that the school system could no longer afford to support. And the taxpayers, so the taxpayers weren't supporting it. And so you guys and lots of other men and women like you have stepped in to fill that void and offer our students, our teachers, and anyone in our community
Anyone's
that
welcome.
opportunity to learn and be engaged and have some fun.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Thank you very much for coming by and
Thanks for the
sharing this
time.
information and for running that planetarium. And I look forward to coming sometime again. I
Come
know
see
I
us.
was there once when my kid was in middle school, but I'd like
we
to
guarantee
come
you'll
back.
learn something the next time you come.
I'm sure. Even I will. And I'm not so good at I don't have a science mind. There's
And
a
we all-
reason I majored in English
And we always
social studies.
offer your money back if you don't learn something.
It's an investment of not very much, right?
Absolutely, just your time.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. And thank you for watching. I hope you've learned a little bit more and understand what this resource in the community is that the school system owns and that our volunteers operate for us. Thank you.